Hello children, welcome back to the UOE class. So today we are going to see about the resources. As I told you, the first line of inquiry and the third line of inquiry, we will be covering it now. That is nothing but the infinite and finite resources. First we will see what are they, what is the difference between these two resources, then we will see how we can save the resources. So that's why the topic is ways to use the resources in a sustainable way. So how we can use the resources in a proper way without wasting them. So using the resources in a proper way without wasting it. So what is a resource? On first hand, when you talk about resource, you are small kids, so you won't be having much idea. You know what is it, but you don't know to explain it, right? So resource is nothing but it is a material, it is thing found in nature, and it's used by whom? We, the living things. We depend upon resources in different ways, right? We depend upon trees, we depend upon water, we depend upon air, we depend upon sunlight, many things. We are dependent on everything. But we are not thankful for that, right? We keep on wasting that. We just use it, we just don't think for about others, and we just waste. So resources are materials that is found in nature, which is used by us living things. Okay, so some of the examples, as I told you before, are plants, animals, that is those who eat non-veg, air, water, and not only for mainly for non-veg, we also use the leather, the skin of those animals. Then water, we get water from lakes, rivers, and underground. Rocks, we are dependent upon rocks. We are dependent upon oil, that too is taken from the underground, and the salt. So there are many such things that we are dependent upon. So these are the resources, these are general resources. There are many more resources. Okay, so in the first hand, what are the types of resources? Now we have learned what is a resource. Resource is nothing but something that is used by living things, right? They are found in nature. Now resources can be divided into two types, where you have done this activity already, where you wrote what are the natural and what are the man-made. That things, they are called resources. Some of the general example, first of all, natural resources is provided by the nature. We get in nature, nobody has to have to sit and make it, right? It is provided by the nature, it's already there. Man-made resources is by depending upon the natural resources, we make man-made resources. Okay, we have to depend upon the natural resources to get man-made, that is people make it out of the natural resources. So some of the examples of natural resources are air, water, petroleum. And some of the examples of man-made resources are machines, vehicles, and roads. There are many more. These are some of the few examples so that you can understand it with examples. So next we will see in the natural resources. Now when I said you, there are two types of resources in the natural resources itself, that we should be afraid of wasting it because we cannot get it back. So one of the example is natural resources. It has got two categories. One is non-renewable and renewable. So new, what do you mean by new? New means something which is very new, which is not used, right? So renewable resources are the resources which you will get it again and again, even though you use it a lot. Okay, non-renewable resources means once you finish it, once those resources are getting over in the earth, you need to wait for a long time. Okay, either you need to wait for a long time to get it back, or you will never get it at all. So we should be very careful while we use the non-renewable resource. So resources that can be only used once, that's non-renewable. That doesn't mean only one time you can use it, not that is not the meaning. It is limited, we don't have much of that, it will get over at any time. So we should be very careful while using it. Renewable resources are that can be used over and over again. You need not be afraid of that. You can use it whenever you want. It is not limited, it is unlimited. Okay, so let us see the examples of this non-renewable. So non-renewable resources are consumed when used. Example, coal, the black color thing, the picture is there on the upcoming slides. So this is non-renewable, and resources that can be exhausted by overuse. Overuse in the sense again and again you will use it, and some of the other day it will get over. For example, something is getting over at your house. For example, salt is getting over. okay, you are using salt for cooking and other things and it is getting over, definitely we can go and buy it at the store. Think when that store is also not having the salt, nowhere there is salt, what will you do? Then it is exhausted, it is not available. So salt is not like that, I'm just giving an example. So there are some resources which will get over once we overuse it. If it is limited, we need to decide it, we need to plan it, then we should use. Some of the renewable resources are, it is always available, like sunlight. You go and stand you know outside and you get the sunlight, you need not worry about that, because always the sun will produce light and always you're going to get that, it is not going to get over. And for now, water is also renewable, but that doesn't mean we can waste it. Once or the one or the other day, it will be a non-renewable resources if we keep wasting water like this. And wind is also renewable, like we get wind, the natural one, not the air that is coming from the fan, okay. When we go outside and stand, we get wind, okay, you can feel that wind, but it doesn't get over, always you will get that, okay, that is renewable. So resources that can be recycled again and again, you can use this. Recycling we have already discussed when we were learning about the carbon footprints, right, how to save the earth, resources in the earth. So these are the two types of natural resources. One of the natural resources will get over soon if you are not planning and properly using it. One of the natural resources, it will never get over. Some examples like sunlight, water, all these resources will be got by us every time, okay, we need not worry about it, but we should be worrying about the non-renewable resources. Now, examples of renewable and non-renewable resources, you can see this was taken from the Google. This is not done by not done by our children. This is someone has done and posted it. So you can see there is a heading, renewable and non-renewable. Under renewable, you can see solar. Solar means sunlight. Okay, wind, plants. It won't get over. Some or the other way it will grow. Okay, water, soil, wildlife. But now wildlife is renewable, but if people keep on hunting this wildlife, or people keep on cutting the trees, one or the other day, definitely this wildlife, plants and water will come to the list of non renewable, because it will get over if we keep wasting like this. As of now, it is a renewable, so we can thank God that we have enough of resources, we have more. Now non renewable resources are fossil fuels, that is petroleum. From fossil fuel we are getting petroleum, natural gas and coal, okay. So this non-renewable resources, even if it is getting over, if you are getting it back, you need to wait for a long time. We won't be living at that time, because it takes million of years to form these kinds of resources like oil, then natural gas, then coal. And suppose if water is also getting over, we need to wait for a long time. We can't expect the rain to come, and it won't fill all the lakes, all the rivers at all of a sudden, right? So we need to be very careful while we are using. So this is the example, this is the picture of coal. So this coal is formed by natural process, and for this coal to form, we need to wait for a long time. So this is the example, this is the procedure how the coal is formed. For example, you can see this, the picture is given one by one. So you can see the first picture, it's a swamp means there will be trees, and at the same time water will also be there, that is the plants, that is plants and trees that grows in water, that is a swamp. There will be mud also. So before the dinosaurs, many giant plants died in swamps, okay. So before the, when plants, all the plants cannot grow in water, some plants need the dry weather. So if they are in the water for a long time, they get decayed and they just die off, okay. So before the dinosaurs, many giant plants died in swamps. Over millions of years, the plants were buried under water and dirt. So for a long time, these plants were under the water and under the mud for a long time. So you can see they have marked those places, dead plants, and on the top there was dirt and there was water where living beings were living. So 100 million years ago, this happened 100 million years ago, okay. Then heat and pressure turned the dead plants into coal. So obviously when you were learning about the solar system, you learn about the core, you learned about the crust, mantle, all those things, right? About the sun and about the earth. When you were learning, you got an idea, right, how what are the layers of the earth. So the earth has got its own heat, right? So when these plants are getting buried deeper and deeper, the heat is more and more. So this heat and pressure turned the dead plants into coal. This is how coal was formed. So it is not a one day process. Today the plants die and tomorrow you won't get coal. If you have to get the coal, you need to wait for a long time. 100 million years, 500 million years you have to wait. So we can't get, right? So that's why people are telling us to use these kind of resources very carefully. Now you may ask, what is the use of coal? See, in olden days, you would have seen the iron boxes. They used to have this coal and they used to iron the cloths, right? To generate the heat. At the same way, trains, the steam engine in the olden days, the trains, those steam engine, they use the coal. So we were dependent upon this. Now we have found out many different technologies. We are depending upon different new, innovations, new inventions are there. That's okay. But we were dependent upon the coal. We can't be depending upon the technology always. We need to save the earth's resources. It is our responsibility as human beings because we are the people using it and wasting it. So we need to be very careful. Next is how petroleum and natural gas formation. Uh, this is also some kind of same procedure. Tiny sea plants and animals died and were buried on the ocean floor. Over time, they were covered by layers of silt and sand, that is dirt and sand. Once the this animals and plants in the ocean dies, they get buried under the water, and what happens, it gets covered by the mud. They form the layers. It's not like they are just buried and you can take it off. It goes deeper and deeper when the water flows. Okay, then this mud and you can see the layers, plants, animals remain, and so sand and silt, that is it's nothing but it is the mud. Over million of years the remains were buried deeper and deeper. The enormous heat, enormous means the more and more of heat was generated, and this heat generated this heat and pressure turned these dead animals into oil and gas. From these animals only we are getting the oil. Okay, not all the oil, but some of the oil we do get from them. Today, we drill down through layers of sand, silt, and rock to reach the rock formations that contain oil and gas deposits. So today, to get the oil, we mine the land. We just put a hole and we just keep digging, 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 which is very harmful for the earth. Okay, so whatever we are doing to get some resources, we are harming the earth in one or the other way. So it is our duty to take care of the earth's resources. Now, using the resources in a proper way without wasting it. That was the topic. This is the third line of inquiry which I was talking about. That is the balance between meeting the human needs. We have to use it anyways. We are depending upon that. But at the same time, how to use the resources in such a way that we are not wasting it. So to use natural resources sustainably, we need to rethink on two questions. One is, what are the resources that we use? When you are using something, what are the resources? Okay, then you should think how to use them in a proper way. We should also ask ourselves if we really need to use them in the first place. Seriously, you want to use it or just you are using it? So you need to think on these two questions. So sustainable resources use occurs when our rate of consumption, that is, you should be using it, right? You need to use those resources, but you should not damage it. Okay, so what we should use? We should use resources like wind and solar energy. So for electricity, for generating electricity, instead of depending upon the water, we can use the solar energy. Of course, many of you will have solar panels at your houses, so we should keep using that. Instead of non-renewable resources like fossil fuels, we should not depend upon the fossil fuels much. Okay, it doesn't mean that we should not use at all. We can use, but not in a much, we should not waste it. Use those resources which cause less harm to the environment. You are not supposed to harm the environment. Okay, then cut back on the amount of natural resources, that is, use the natural resources, that is, in such a way that you are not affecting it. You should be following these 3 R's, that is reducing, reusing, and recycling. This we have already learned in the that carbon footprint. So humans, we will always be depending upon the natural resources to live. So when we consume resources, when we are using, consuming means when we are using these resources, you should be keeping in mind that The future generation should also want it. You are not supposed to be selfish that, okay, I am using it, that is enough. It's not like that. Future generation should also use. So these are the three R's: reduce, reuse, recycle. So reducing certain usage of certain things, reusing certain things, using it again and again, recycling, use it for some other thing also. That we have a great knowledge on this because you all came up with different ideas that day. But again, I'm just giving a clear picture about this. So this is the symbol for reduce, reuse, and recycle. You would have seen this in the dustbins also. Many places they would have kept this. Okay. So how and what? Reduce, reuse and recycling. This is the picture. This I will be posting it in the Google Classroom for you. So you can walk or ride a bike instead of driving, use energy efficient bulbs, turn the water off when you're not using it. All these things we have discussed it. And reuse is use refillable water bottles. You are not supposed to use plastic bottles that you once you use it and throw it. Use it again and again. Use reusable grocery bags and use reusable lunch boxes. Use certain things that is usable again and again, not one time usage, right? Don't throw things that affects the environment. Don't throw things down. There are dustbins for that. Please throw it on that. Don't use certain things that is affecting the earth. Then recycle plastic containers. You can use it for some other purposes. I know many of you have the you are artists, you by birth, so you make some craft items with that. You do that. There is no issue in that. Then recycle soda cans, recycle cardboard boxes. This you know already, so we need not go through this much. Then 10 ways to unpackage your life. That is how to use those things. Like one is bring your own shopping bag, then reduce the use of plastic bags for produce and bulk items. Bring your own food container and utensils. Carry a reusable water bottle. Don't go somewhere and wait for them to give water to you. You carry water with you. Okay. Then pack a waste free lunch. Bring your own cup. Slow down and dine in. Then say no to disposable straws, plastics. Avoid heavily packaged food like this. We just eat that, we just drink it, we just throw it down. We are not taking care of it, right? Share these tips with friends. This is very much important because you need to tell everybody, right, how to use certain resources. Now garbage sorting. This is what I said. Garbage sorting is when you put all the waste in a single dustbin. That is not much that is not much appreciated. There are certain things that you need to throw in different things, like when it is a fruit peels or some vegetable peels, you can put it in one box. Plastics, you can separate it in another box. You can put metals in one box, because daily we won't be getting waste that is from metal and glass and plastic. Only food wastage is there. Most of the time we have food wastage, right? So when you have these kind of plastic, metal and glass wastage, sort your garbages. Okay, don't put it in the same. Now you can see it in the picture. Paper is put in one dustbin, plastic is put in one, glass is put in one, organic in the sense all the vegetables and fruits, they are put in one. So we should make sure that we are not um like we are not dumping all the waste together. So if you put like this, the people who use this, like the people who are working in this reduce, reuse and recycle, the three R's, they just feel easy for them to sort it out and make things out of that. Okay. So many of the apartments I have seen, they have different dustbins like this. I don't know whether you are aware of that, but when you go out, now we won't be able to go out, but when in future, after some days, when you go out, just check, you will find these symbols. Okay. Then recycle. What are the things that you can recycle? These are the clear pictures: newspaper, tins, plastic bottles, paper, then milk juice, glass bottles, foil, all those cardboard boxes, everything. And items that don't recycle include, sometimes this plastic itself is not accepted. The nappies, bags, broken glass, all these things. There are certain things that is not recyclable. Okay. Then what are the things that you need to recycle and put in trash? This is the examples they have given. You can go through this. So three R's make Mother Earth happy. Exactly, it makes happy because we throw the wastage in different places and we are not wasting it actually. We are using it. We are reducing the usage of certain things. For example, reduce the usage of plastic. if even if you are using the plastic, reuse it again. Or if you don't want to use it, for example, if your water bottle is considered to be waste, make it as a, pen stand, pencil stand, do some artworks with that, so it adds beauty to your house only. Then recycle certain things, metals can be recycled, then newspapers can be recycled. So when you do all this, when you follow all this, when you start doing this, definitely one or the other person will start doing that because you do that, right? So if everybody in the earth is doing that, then there will be no wastage and there is no